today is a homeowner from Choctaw.
Yay.
That being said, I also appreciate what this board does and our state, our economy. The turnout here today, I think, is indicative of how important issues like these are. And so, one thing that I learned in the military was that the #1 cause of stress is lack of information. That when we have lack of information, people begin to fill in the blanks. I, like many of my constituents, driving home on Peebly Road and began to see white X's in people's yards and on the road, wondered what all that meant and got very concerned. Now, I was able to meet with Secretary Ridley and McCaleb, who I consider friends, and I appreciate their willingness to meet on this issue and begin to open up the discussions, which they've been more than willing to do. Here's what I would like to call for as we approach this situation moving forward. And I'm not calling on it as a congressman, I'm calling on it as a homeowner that lives in the path of where all of this would go. And if I wasn't a homeowner in the path of where this would go, I would still be coming here as a congressman because these things are very, very important. I think that a few things that we have to show: the need for the project, and then if the need is determined, we have community involvement. When I served in the state senate, we saw the community of Mustang, which I represented at that time, had tremendous growth. The roads were not able to convey the large populations. They wanted roads, they wanted a way to get to and from work. They knew that there would be sacrifices on both sides, but that community came together in a way that was very, very admirable. They were afforded the opportunity. And so I think that as we look at the need for the project, we have to involve the community in what those outcomes will be. And not just elected officials, city councilmen, boards, but these folks. And we need to do that with public meetings, not on a Tuesday morning when people are at work. Now, I know you say, well, what are you doing here? Well, they had Snowmageddon up in D.C., and thank God that I was able to come, so I appreciate that. Comparison of routes. If it can be established that there is the need for this project, then we need to have comparison of routes, and we had discussed some of this earlier. It's important to show that why a route that literally may come through my home and remove me from my property, that is a possibility, and I've accepted that. But we need to have a comparison of routes, why that would be beneficial. I don't want that outcome. That's not what I desire, but it may be best for the entire community. It may be best for how we move forward in the 5th District. For folks, especially no one driving along 240 or I-40 between Shawnee and Tinker Air Force Base. We understand the traffic that occurs out there, the accidents every day between Anderson and Choctaw. And that's really the areas that we're talking about out here. So we know there's a need and a problem, but we have to have a comparison of routes so people's homes aren't unnecessarily lost. Their livelihoods are not unnecessarily transplanted. And then for me, being a staunch defender of the Constitution, the 4th Amendment of the Bill of Rights is sacrosanct. The right to our property, the right to our home. But I don't diminish that sometimes the greater good takes over. I served on military bases around the country. That displaced people's property. When those training areas expanded, people had to move so that we could defend the nation, and they had to make tough decisions in that regard. I'm not unrealistic to know that sometimes you have to balance the need for the country, the need for the nation, with the needs of the individual. In this case, could be my home. But we have to do this soberly with the least amount of impact only after we've established that there is absolutely a need for the project. And with this soberly approach, I'm confident with folks that I know at this table, most of you, folks that I know in the community, and most of you voted for me, and if not, then I'll try to earn your trust, at some point. But I'm very, very encouraged that if we can do it with good sharing of information and community involvement, and that we don't have any surprises, and people just don't come and put an X in your front yard, and which we've had admissions already by folks that was probably not the best thing to do. You think? But we learn. I don't think anyone in here is trying to do bad. And I say that honestly. Not homeowners, not business owners, not construction workers, not folks on this board. I don't think anyone in this room is trying to do bad. I think that they're trying to weigh the outcomes of what would be best. And that, I think if we do it together and we come at it soberly minded, then I think we'll get the best solution. Do I have a lot of stake in this outcome? Sure. But do the people of Oklahoma maybe have a greater outcome than my individual stake? That remains to be proven and seen. It may be the outcome. I don't know. But I want to encourage all of you, let's do it with civility. Let's do it with generosity. Let's do it with the spirit that we know that we can solve problems rather than just create them. And I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Thank you for letting me have this time.